Valuable managers of MEXT member companies, distinguished entrepreneurs and investors and business people, I would first like to welcome our valuable guests and those joining us on digital platforms. Today we are together with you for the launch of a new collaboration of MEXT, the Technology Center of MEXT. MEXT has become a member of the World Economic Forum's Fourth Industrial Revolution Network in 2020, and it had a swift start for the new year with new hope. Plug and Play, the world's largest investment and entrepreneurship platform, comes to Istanbul with MEXT. The swiftly changing technology changes the rules of business. 30 years ago, we had industry companies in the list of the largest companies in the world, but that has changed. As of today, out of the first 10 companies are technology companies. We have 7 technology companies out of the largest 10. Facebook and Amazon, with a value of $1 trillion today, were technology startups in the beginning, but today they are part of the dream of many other startups. Of course, it's not easy to turn your products and services to tangible outcomes, and you need to have the suitable ecosystem if you want your products and services to be part of the market. Turkish Employers Association of Metal Industries, MES, has paved the way for Plug and Play, the world's largest investment and entrepreneur platform in the world. And this collaboration highlighted MES's perspective and stance towards investment and entrepreneur, because that platform will bring investors and entrepreneurs together. Leading companies, investors and entrepreneurs will have an opportunity to find great opportunity and investment opportunities on this platform. So that will be how we turn a dream into reality, and that will also pave the way for the suitable environment for investment and entrepreneur. And that excites us a lot. This visionary project means that many dreams in the Turkish market will come to reality. That will be a kind of last chain in what MES has been doing, and that will be completed with Plug and Place coming to Istanbul. And we would like to welcome you again to the launch of Plug and Play platform in Turkey. So we have the founders of this project at our studio today. So among the members of MES in automotive, white goods sectors bring in the leading companies in Turkey: Dropbox, PayPal, Keepboy, Honey, Rockbig, and 26, and similar companies have been brought together by Plug and Plug. So we are talking about more than 40,000 entrepreneurs and investors. This new ecosystem will be re-establishing the rules in the world of business, and it will be a role model for local investors and entrepreneurs. And Özgür, Burak from MES will be talking to us about how the system will be working, and then we will be listening to our second speaker, and we will go on with panels. So from MES board of the member, Mr. Burak will be talking to us about the details of this new launch and project.
Merhabalar Özgür Bey, hoş geldiniz.
Hoş bulduk Ahmet.
Özgür Bey, welcome. Welcome. Thank you for the invitation. Well, Özgür Bey, 2020 was a very difficult year indeed, and you had numerous new projects. And how was 2020 for you, and what will you be doing for the next year? 2020 had really been a difficult year for all of us, and we have experienced many great challenges. The pandemic has slowed down many businesses all around the world, and our vision was that we needed to accelerate things during the pandemic as well. We wanted the conditions of the pandemic to encourage us even more for new projects. And MEXT, after a 4-year study, had been realized, as the world's largest digital platform. And the World Economic Forum's Fourth Industrial Revolution Network was another target for us, and we realized that as well. We wanted to disseminate good practices so that we would be supporting our members, and we had been part of this world-class applications and implementations, which was another source of pride. So we continued with our production and export activities. So we are in need of hope today, and we are entering the new year with hopes in our hearts and minds. Today we are not going to talk about a project, but a tangible outcome, a solid reality, if you like, because we have the pride of bringing in a great service to Istanbul. Plug and Play platform exists in 20 countries only, and with Istanbul it will be servicing to another 12 countries on a wide geography around Istanbul. So this platform will not be for the entrepreneurs of these respective countries only, but it will be serving and supporting many other stakeholders in the businesses. It will be a great center indeed, and as MES, we are very happy for that. Özgür Bey, what I'm curious about is that recently the traditional union structure had been destroyed, and we see many examples of that all around us. What was the main factor that accelerated this change? Ahmet Bey, during the last 3 years we are talking about a new perspective of unionism, and we are looking for executions that will really add value to our country. We are not only talking about collective bargaining only. We want unions to think about employees, and we want in unionism to think about quality working life conditions. That's why we continue to call this as a new generation of unionism. So that reshapes everything, and technology, innovation and businesses' processes are being reshaped. As you know, we have completed our vaccine research in 9 months only. In the old days, vaccines could be made in studies of years, perhaps. And a ventilator had been produced in a month only, so usually that takes up for a year, if you like. So that has been made possible with open innovation. And thanks to artificial intelligence, chronic diseases can be treated in a couple of months. Proteins posed a great question for biologists and for scientists, because scientists were not able to explain how the proteins could be folded 3 times. So with the opportunities on hand that came together with the Fourth Industry Revolution, and with the capabilities of scientific and technological advancement, we are able to answer these kinds of big questions in science. And we need to be targeting leadership in technology and digital innovation. For that to happen, we are in need of a new ecosystem. And how can that be happen? We are in need of solid implementation. No organization can do this alone. So that's why we are talking about a need for a technology ecosystem which would enable the transfer and sharing of communication and knowledge amongst organizations and stakeholders. This is a must. New problems can be resolved only if you have contact with people. And only if you have access to new technologies and digital innovations. We have this small example from our side. In order to think about social distancing issues within our own organization, we were in need of developing a new software, and we worked together with startups while we were working on this software, and that had accelerated our process. Supply chain and acquisitions are other challenging areas, and we have started working with startup companies in this area as well. For this kind of agile working environment has shortened the production process of 1.5 years in a much shorter time. So between entrepreneurs and investors, that kind of solidarity and collaboration hold very important indeed. With the plug and play platform, We hopefully plan to increase such instances of collaborations. Özgür Bey, these are very exciting, and what does MES do for that? Well, our greatest target, Ahmet Bey, is, well, we want industry to be developed in country. We want more people to reach employment in this area. This is our most important vision, which is very clearly defined, because we want our global share in the economy to exceed 1% again. We have a lot to do to realize this. We have to accelerate our digital transformation journey, and in order for that to happen, we are in need of open innovation. We need to have more venture capital in Turkey to encourage investments and entrepreneurs. So in venture capital, our share is 4 in 1,000, which is a great disparity when it comes to normal investments being unrolled in the economy. So that will be our priority from now on, and the World Economic Forum's collaboration and the plug-and-play platforms launch in Istanbul are great sources of pride for us. Well, Özgür Bey, plug and play. Well, we have 150 leading companies of the Turkish industrial world. What will plug and play offer to these companies? We have many products and services on this platform. Let me try to summarize you these. Let me give you an example from daily life first. If you want to plant a tree, you are in need of sun and water. These are materials produced by nature every day. And if these two items will come together at the right place, well, that will be many benefits out there for us. So the plant will grow into a tree, and it will offer you shade, it will offer you foods, and that can only happen if sun and light and water will come together at the right place. The same thing holds true for our industries as well. We are in need of the unification of the right stakeholders, and this is what we are trying to do, to bring people and organizations together. And as MES, we are part of this, and for the first time with the plug-and-play platform, we are bringing in the sun and water together on our platform. Our entrepreneurs will be developing in an accelerated manner. They will have a more competition edge, and we will have more employment in our country, and entrepreneurs in Turkey will be encouraged, and their processes will be accelerated. Plug and Play rolls out more than 60 acceleration programs all around the world, and they have been working with more than 1,450 startups. They are partners of more than 300 startup companies. So we have water and we have sun in the system, the basic ingredients. Dropbox, PayPal, Hippo, HoneyRub, and more than 30 different companies with a current value of $1 million in market today have benefited from this platform. So the total value in funds is $9 billion. So that will be open for MES as well. And there will be new and open innovation programs on supply chain, material, energy. These will be the issues that will be prioritized. So this solidarity has three pillars. The members of MES, 250 leading companies, are young people, and the third pillar is the investors. And our member companies will benefit in four main areas. They will be resolving their challenges by coming together with local and international investors. And secondly, they will have the opportunity to work with the best entrepreneurs. For example, if you are a producer and if you are in need of an Internet of Things solution, they will have this opportunity to work together with an Italian company, or they will have access to Australian company, or that they will find a solution in insurance companies in Paris. So that will be for the service for our companies. So the best technologies and the best solutions will be rolled out for them. And lastly, this is another very important issue, the projects will be able to be selected by our entrepreneurs. Other investors in startups will find benefits. There will be 4 benefits for our entrepreneurs. For 250 members of our member companies will be able to come together with decision makers and other kinds of stakeholders. They will have an opportunity to come together, and hopefully after COVID-19 we will be able to come together physically as well. And secondly, they will be able to open up to global markets, and thirdly, they will be able to experience their solutions at the digital factory, and lastly, they will have an opportunity to work at MEXT offices. This is for the leading startups, and that will be very important for local investors in Turkey. We think there will be important opportunities for them, because our investors will be able to come together with international organizations. They will be able to go out and roll out their investments internationally. And our companies are investors as well. They will have an opportunity to roll out early investments. So in summary, entrepreneurs, companies and investors will find equal benefits on this platform in Istanbul. Özgür Bey, what will Plug and Play be doing once it's opened? Of course, the launch and the roadmap of this project should not be affected by the pandemic. Of course, we are taking some precautions, and hopefully we will be able to hold physical meetings. But initially we will be embracing 50 startups. This is a very good company. It's a very good number, and they will be able to come together on a platform. So again, this will be the rocketing phase, the accelerating phase of their activities. We have some tangible outcomes and results. The Plug and Play platform in Stuttgart derives the metaphors of automobile because it's like a speed car. It's that accelerated, and they have signed contracts with more than half of the member companies. Plug and Play in Tokyo set a very good example for international investors. So secondly, Turkish investors will be open to the world, like the Japanese example. This is very exciting indeed, because our investors will be able to come together with global players. And secondly, we will be finding out our new entrepreneurs, and we will be contributing to new Turcoms. And between China and Wien, we will be rolling out the largest business development program for the world. And lastly, in Istanbul, this will be a new ecosystem, and that will contribute to the inclusion of new members and new stakeholders. I personally believe that that will be a great source of attraction for new stakeholders, because Istanbul is a center for trade and exports, and with the fourth industrial revolution, that will be a center of information as well. Özgür Bey, do you have a message for our investors and entrepreneurs? Let me ask another question. Well, these are innovative business models, and MES has always been prioritizing these new areas. That has been so in the past, and hopefully we will be highlighting more on these issues in the future as well. And for entrepreneurs and for investors, this will be a kind of responsibility we have been shouldering ourselves. With more than 250 members of MES, we are realizing more than 40% of exports in Turkey, which is a great figure indeed, and we offer employment as well. So we will be strengthening our position from that respect. We see that kind of potential in the industry. Once these things will come together, we will have a global ecosystem with Plug and Play, let this be accepted as a commitment. With this business opportunity created by our members, 250 members, and by bringing together the right stakeholders, we will be paving the way for these kinds of innovations. And that will be a kind of encouragement for new investors and for new entrepreneurs. That will be a kind of rocket impact for these new companies. And this collaboration will hopefully shape the way for the fourth industry revolution. The Plug and Play Istanbul platform invites new investors and entrepreneurs. Özgür Bey, we would like to thank you and the MES management on behalf of the Turkish entrepreneurship ecosystem. Thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you. Distinguished guests, we would like to share some surprise messages with you about this project.
Dünyanın en büyük inovasyon ve girişimcilik platformu olan Plug and Play'in MES sayesinde ülkemize geldiğini büyük bir memnuniyetle öğrendim. Türk sanayisi ve girişimcilik ekosistemi için hayırlı uğurlu olmasını temenni ediyorum. Bu işbirliğinin ülkemiz ekosisteminde önemli yer tutacağına inanıyorum. Bu sayede sanayici girişimci ile, girişimci ise yatırımcılarla bir araya gelecek. Oluşacak sinerji sayesinde ülkemizin teknolojik gelişimi hız kazanacak. Bununla beraber Türk girişimcilerinin küresel platforma taşınmasına imkan sağlayacak.
Biz ekip olarak gönülde inanıyoruz ki girişimcilik ülkemizin refah düzeyini arttırmak için önemli bir köşe taşı. Ne kadar fazla genci inandırırsak ki girişimcilik bir alternatif, o kadar zengin bir ülkede yaşayacağız arkadaşlar, orta ve uzun vadede. MEXT Plug and Play İstanbul programına hoş geldin diyorum. Türkiye Metal Sanayicileri Sendikası'na da çok teşekkür ediyorum bu inisiyatifi bizlerle paylaştıkları için. Plug and Play dünyanın en önemli inovasyon ve girişimcilik platformlarından biri. Hepinizin yolu açık olsun. Teşekkür ediyorum.
Dünyada yeni bir ekonomik düzen kurulurken, rekabette başarıya giden yolda teknoloji, inovasyon ve dijitalleşme girişimcilere rehberlik ediyor. Türkiye Metal Sanayicileri Sendikası, teknoloji merkezi ve dünyanın en rekabetçi platformları ile gerçekleştirdiği işbirlikleri sayesinde sanayicilerimize, girişimcilerimize ve yatırımcılarımıza eşsiz bir kaynak daha sunuyor. Yaratacağımız dünya markaları ve yüksek katma değerli ürünlerle ihracatımızı, ihracatla da ekonomimizi çok daha etkili bir güç haline getirebileceğimize inanıyor. Bu çabaya emek verenleri tebrik ediyorum.
Now we are with our special guest, Mr. Saeed Amidi. He is the founder and CEO of the Plug and Play. Welcome to Istanbul.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Amidi, my first question is that, considering your experience in working in open innovation with corporations, I would like to ask you, how can startups and corporations create value from joining forces? What personal examples illustrate the value creation with open innovation between corporations and startups?
Very good. As my experience for the last 20 years in Silicon Valley, we know that the startups are incredibly innovative, agile, and they build great technology and they implement it. And we feel the scale of the corporations is needed so the startups can work with corporations to market their products and distribute it. The best example I can use is our operation in Stuttgart with Mercedes and Porsche for the last 3-4 years. We collect the needs of the corporation, may it be electrification, autonomous, connected cars, and quality and manufacturing 4.0.
Yeah.
And then when we combine the startup with the large corporations, they can do a quick proof of concept. And if the POC works, they can go into production. So we have been able to do this in the automotive industry, in the banking industry, in the insurance industry.
Exactly.
Connecting startups to large corporations to expedite their digital transformation.
My second question to you, what is the role of the innovation hubs in connecting startups, corporations and investors? What are the concrete benefits of PNP Istanbul to the members of MES? How can a plug-and-play platform in a technology center such as MEXT create value for industrialists?
Wonderful. We have at Plug and Play pioneered corporate innovation. We work with the largest companies in the world like Walmart, Cargill, Allianz, Swiss Re. And we feel with the members of MES, we could focus on their needs, technology needs, and both from the entrepreneurs in Turkey as well as entrepreneurs from around the world, bring the technology here to collaborate with MES membership like Ford and other large corporations.
It's very important.
Yes. And we feel when we connect the hub, Istanbul, with Stuttgart, with Beijing, Shanghai, Tokyo in the automotive industry, and Detroit, we feel everybody can excel in implementing technology for better life and better value.
Yeah. Plug and Play operates in many different cultures, such as East Asia and Latin America. How would you position Istanbul within global presence of Plug and Play? How would you adapt to the local innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem while using the global power? Is it possible to cross-fertilize the Silicon Valley culture in Istanbul with its broad geographical and economical outreach?
We are very confident with the incredible engineers in Turkey, and there is quite a bit of entrepreneurship culture already in Turkey, as we have seen the country expand in the automotive industry, in banking, not only in Turkey but in Eastern Europe. So we feel Plug and Play working together with MES and MEXT, we can build a hub here for innovation. Initially in the automotive and the metal industry, but later on in financial services industry, and we already have talked about food and agricultural industry as well. And as Istanbul can be one of the hubs for us in the world, we feel connecting Istanbul to Munich, to Paris, and the rest of the world, we could create an incredible energy and positive impact, not only for the entrepreneurs, but also for the corporations.
Yeah. Startups have not able to travel around during the pandemic situation, unfortunately. How would you evaluate impact of pandemic global entrepreneurship ecosystem in general and Plug and Play in particular? What is your expectation for 2021 in terms of global ecosystem, especially new platform in Istanbul?
Wonderful. To much of my surprise, we have had the best performance ever in 2020 with our startups.
Yeah.
You know, this COVID-19 has proven that you have to act fast. You have to innovate. You have to have a technology that solves different problems.
Yeah.
And initially we had different, round tables with companies like Roche and Sanofi and talking about how technology can help us overcome this challenge. But as a startup world, we have had 5 unicorns this year.
Yeah.
And, one of them is a company called Customer that Facebook just purchased for over $1 billion.
Yeah.
We have had insurance startup called Hippo that raised money over $1 billion valuation, and many more like Big ID and Anfino.
26?
In N26, which is the mobile bank out of Germany, the valuation reached $3.5 billion this year. So we feel, like digital purchases, digital transformation and technology is more relevant now than ever before. Yeah. So even though the 2020 was very challenging, but if you had the right product, the right service, I think the growth was incredible, at least for our portfolio companies.
Yeah. I finished my question, Mr. Amidi.
Thank
you very much.
It's great to be here in Istanbul. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Istanbul again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Dear guests, now we have the signature ceremony of this collaboration. We will be witnessing a historical moment. Özgür Bey, Mr. Samet.
It's a pleasure.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you.
All the best. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Hayırlı olsun.
We want to thank Özgür Bey and Mr. Saeed Amidi for this visionary project. Dear guests, today we open Plug and Play Istanbul Hub. Our launch will continue with our guests from our global ecosystem. The next forum is on corporate innovation and dynamics of entrepreneurs and investors.
Her girişim bir fikirle başlar. Heyecan ve azimle hayata geçer. Ama gelişmesi ve dünyaya açılması için ateşlenmesi gerekir. Doğru ellerde, doğru kişilerle büyümesi gerekir. Dünyaca ünlü birçok girişimin kurucusu öyle yaptı. Dropbox'ın, PayPal'ın, Honey'nin kurucusu da. Küçücük bir şirketken doğru iş ortaklarıyla bir araya geldiler. Dünyanın en büyük teknoloji şirketleri arasına isimlerini yazdırdılar. Şimdi büyüme sırası sizde. Dünyanın en büyük inovasyon ve girişimcilik platformu Plug and Play MEXT ile İstanbul'da. Dünyanın en büyük, en kapsamlı, en ileri dijital dönüşüm ve yetkinlik gelişim merkezi MEXT ve Plug and Play işbirliğiyle dünyanın en iyi girişimcileri, sanayimizin lokomotifi MEXT üyelerimizle bir araya geliyor. Girişimler hız kazanıyor, sanayimiz açık inovasyon sayesinde yarınlara hazırlanıyor.
değerli katılımcılar, sizleri sevgi ve saygıyla selamlıyorum. Dijital dönüşüm, inovasyon, girişimcilik, dönüşüm vizyonumuzda önemli yer tutan unsurlar. Tüm bu konularda işbirlikleri büyük önem taşıyor. Üniversitelerle, buluşçularla, araştırmacılarla ve startuplarla yapılan işbirlikleri tüm bu söylediğim alanlarda gelişmeleri hızlandıran, zenginleştiren, geliştiren özelliğe ve güce sahip. İşte bu noktada Plug and Play ile MEXT'in işbirliğini çok kıymetli buluyorum. Ülkemizdeki startupları şirketlerle, yatırımcılarla buluşturacak, dünyaya açacak, dünyadaki startupları ülkemizdeki şirketlere tanıtacak, buluşturacak bu önemli girişimin ülkemizdeki dönüşüm, sanayinin dönüşümü ve diğer birçok endüstrinin dönüşümü bakımından önemli olduğunu düşünüyorum. Aldığım bilgiye göre öncelikle nesnelerin interneti, mobilite, akıllı şehirler ve fintech konularında uzmanlaşmayı, kümelenmeyi hedefleyen bir plan söz konusu. Biraz önce de ifade ettiğim gibi bu önceliklendirilen konularda ülkemizin bu alandaki çalışmalarını hızlandıracak bir etki yapacağına inanıyorum. Ayrıca da özellikle nesnelerin interneti konularındaki çalışmaların MEXT'in bir önceki inisiyatifi olan çok kıymetli bulduğum MEXT'i tamamlayacak özellikle olduğunu düşünüyorum. Bu vizyoner girişimden dolayı Özgür Bey ve onun şahsında MEXT Yönetim Kurulu'nu candan tebrik ederim. Bu işbirliğinin şirketlerimize ve ülkemize hayırlı olmasını diliyorum.
Hello, welcome to Plug and Play MEXT Mobility and IoT Platform Istanbul office launch. We're really excited that we're bringing Plug and Play, and our partnership with MEXT shares our vision of making Istanbul a regional hub in the innovation ecosystem. My name is Ömer Gözen. I'm a Senior Vice President at our Silicon Valley headquarters, and I'm really happy that today we're here for a great cause. And we have a full of activities and a great agenda that we've prepared for you. And number one on that list is a conversation with a few of my friends that I've met throughout my tenure at Plug and Play. And we're going to talk about the dynamics between the corporations, entrepreneurs, and the venture capitalists, and how we can foster this innovation ecosystem. With that said, I would like to dive straight into the conversation. We have today with us Raymond Chaw, a senior manager from Daimler AG in Stuttgart. We have Mr. Barış Güzel, a great dear friend of mine from my old days in North Carolina. And then we met again in Silicon Valley. He's the principal at BMW iVentures, and my also great friend Tato Bigio. He's the CEO and founder at UBQ Materials. Welcome, and we're honored to have you here today at the inaugural event of the Istanbul office. Great. So I would like to ask my first question to you, Raymond, because I know because of our relationship at Startup Autobahn that we started almost 5 years ago in Stuttgart, nobody knew Stuttgart was going to be a mobility and IoT benchmark innovation hub and play an instrumental role at Plug and Play's expansion out of Silicon Valley. So we know that the moment calls for corporations to look outside of their R&Ds because of a variety of reasons. You know, the idea of an open innovation, external R&D, and especially in an environment that the mobility and IoT environment has been changing significantly. What I would like to ask you is, you know, the corporations have become the protagonists in this field. Can you tell me that, you know, how do corporates and startups join forces, but most importantly, successfully do so? And can you elaborate on a few examples from how you have developed this partnership with Plug and Play and was able to successfully funnel innovation and technology into Daimler AG?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me here, part of this this launch. Well, again, the whole topic about corporates and startups. I mean, one has to go back some time ago. Obviously, looking at industry with startups, I think this is a very important channel for the old industry, right? I mean, and this cooperation is I think is very important. But also corporates are learning how to work together with startups, right? This is also a journey, right? It seems always fancy, and but to really make it happen, that is a challenge. Okay, so make no mistake. So these platforms enable, right, corporates to work together with startups. I think that's very important as another channel of innovation. I mean, corporations now, they have to look also outside, not only internally. I mean, at Daimler, for example, we have a huge R&D department, right, which is still, of course, creating value, but more and more as outside things are becoming more and more dynamic in the mobility field, it's important to look outside and to work together with startups. So I think this is something which we need to set for the future.
And also, when we were building the platform in Stuttgart, I know that the open innovation is not a concept that a lot of people adapt fairly easily because there are a lot of competition, conflicts of interest. But what we wanted to bring in, and we're trying to also take Startup Autobahn as a benchmark in the program that we're doing with MEXT in our platform here, that we would like to bring in different players from the same value chain that everybody can bring in a core competency to it. Like a few OEMs and then a few tier 1, tier 2 suppliers that could come so that the attraction for the startups will be there rather than seeing only one player. I know that this is a hard concept for people to grasp, but this is truly what we're trying to build. And I know, this is a good segue for me to transition to Tato here, to UBQ. Tato, we met in Silicon Valley a couple of years ago when you went through our new materials and packaging platform, and then you were able to move on from Silicon Valley to join our Startup Autobahn to do a few pilot projects successfully with Daimler AG. Can you talk about your experience of being a part of both of these accelerator programs in 2 different regions with Plug and Play, and what was the type of process in this, and what was the role of Daimler AG in terms of identifying this opportunity with you?
Thank you very much. We are only as powerful as our partnerships. UBQ came with quite a remarkable, groundbreaking technology to turn household waste that is aimed to landfill and converting all that waste, meaning the heterogeneous streams of material of the waste, which is the foodstuff, the plastic, the cardboard, the paper, the diapers, and today these masks, into a thermoplastic, sustainable, bio-based material. And this is really an innovation that disrupts the way we manufacture and how we view waste. We've been coined as the most climate-positive thermoplastic material on the market, and we can really get rid of landfills, turning back the dial on climate change while replacing oil-based plastics. But without industry adoption and implementation, this scientific breakthrough would have any impact. Having Daimler working with us has created an enormous opportunity. Nothing is really as effective as the trust of Daimler. Suddenly the connection between UBQ and high quality, high performance materials is much more tangible. It really is opening doors of major other players like McDonald's, Cascade, Keter Plastics, Rochlin, Mainetti. So working with industry leaders like Daimler brings credibility, open doors across industries, and enhances also consumer awareness.
Was it hard to navigate through a complex organism like Daimler AG?
No, I have to say that we are extremely satisfied by the working relation with Daimler. Look, we are a startup, even though at a mature stage, sitting here in Israel, and the commitment, which is mutual, by the way, but the enormous commitment we find in Daimler, the innovative ideas, the willingness to come with new concepts and introduce the material in applications we even never thought possible has been groundbreaking for us. So I have to tell you that I wish that all our partnership will be as enjoyable and successful as the ones that we have with Daimler.
It was also fascinating to see your company's development, because when we were in Silicon Valley, you were working with my CPG partners, with resin manufacturers, right? And then it was incredible to see you becoming a part of Startup Autobahn and working with the mobility and IoT value chain there. It was fascinating. I think, in my opinion, you're a dream startup for any investor. It was too bad that we met too late in our lifetime, and you were already too expensive for me to make an investment on. But I can still, I think, make a convincing case to our CEO. With that said, I think, Barış, it's fantastic to see you here. Back in the days in Chapel Hill, we didn't know that we were going to meet up again in Bay Area, not to mention to be a part of the same small ecosystem. It's great. Great to have you here and bring in the venture capitalist's perspective, especially from a corporate venture capital arm, which you're a part of BMW iVentures. You've been with them for a long time. You're very active in the VC scene, making investments, writing up blogs on everything that I follow very enthusiastically as well. My question to you, because I get this question a lot, how easy is it to start a corporate venture capital arm, and what were some of the challenges that you faced, and what are you looking for in startups?
Yeah, thank you very much, first of all, for having me, Ömer. It's been an honor. Let's break down those questions briefly. First of all, there is a lot of different approaches when it comes to corporate venture. And I don't think there's one size fits all. It depends on the goals and the purpose, what you're trying to achieve over the long period of time. So let me share our own story. For example, BMW iVentures has been around since 2011. Version 1.0 was more of a traditional corporate VC model. Back then, started out of New York, actually, where you would need internal sponsoring when it comes to investments. Yet, given the speed of disruption, at the end of 2016, our board decided to set up a new and institutional fund. So version 2.0 looks more like a traditional, more like a conventional venture capital fund with LPGP structure, where we could act bolder and move faster. So unlike many other corporate VC funds, we lead deals and we're against any hairy terms or restrictory items like exclusivity. So we've set up a new team with diverse skills to make sure this is a success. I joined the fund along with the new structure. So while we are working closely with our BMW colleagues, we look for both financial and strategic returns when we look for investment opportunities. We think that this way we can get the best of both worlds. The speed, flexibility, and financial focus of an institutional VC fund, as well as deep domain know-how and ample network of an engineering powerhouse like BMW. So I think it takes a team with a combination of diverse backgrounds. Just as a brief background, I'm an engineer by background. Then I was able to get a couple master's degrees. Then I was on the Wall Street, moved over to the dark side, did M&As and IPOs for Merrill Lynch in New York, and then worked for Deutsche Bank's technology investment banking practice, after which I worked for a couple other institutional VC funds prior to joining BMW iVentures roughly 4 years ago. I'm also in the same team with a bunch of my colleagues where they're coming from BMW's internal engineering departments, where they bring incredible deep domain know-how, as well as knowing those strategic priorities helps us assess all of those startups strategically, financially, and technically in a much better position than many other VC funds out there. So I do believe that such an independent structure attracts unique team members and also founders when you look at our investments. And so far, when we look at our returns, we are currently in the top bucket of all VC funds in our vintage year, including those Sandhill roads. So I think the model is functioning well. And I do believe if done right, venture capital could be actually a profit-generating opportunity for corporates.
That is wonderful. I know that BMW iVentures is quite independent from the BMW, but at the same time, you guys are very active in this field, and you've had some pretty successful wins recently that, as I've been following you on different social channels. Congratulations. So My next question will be to you, Raymond. We've been working with Daimler AG so far for the last, I think, 5 or 6 years, ever since you guys started us in our IoT program in Silicon Valley, and then we jointly built the program in Startup Audubon, and in Singapore, in some other regions right now in Southeast Asia. We have some surprises potentially coming along in the next year that we've been building. We know that you have different regional aspects that you bring it as a Daimler. So how does this help your business? So how do you help the startups, and then what do you learn from them? So how do you integrate these type of new ideas and new, I guess, small companies but big technology opportunities within Daimler?
Yeah, I mean, actually, there are two questions. One is, I mean, the regional footprint, right? And then also, what does it mean to Daimler? So for the first, of course, the regional footprint we have, because of course we have different customers and different appliances in each region, right? We have different brands. Some are across like Mercedes, but for the truck side, we've got different brands in Asia with Fuso or Freightliner US and Mercedes-Benz Truck in Europe and Latin America. So of course that will use different customers, address different customers, and then of course solutions coming out of the startup universe, will support customers within in our products within those topics, right? So that's from the regional aspect where I think it's important to source also locally or in the region, right? Because you're more direct the action between OEM, customer, and startup. Okay, so this was to the first question. The second question regarding what's the value to a corporate like Daimler? Again, there are twofolds. One, obviously, technology, right? So there's only as much technology innovation you can do, and with startups, proving their POC, their use case, like UBQ right now. I mean, this is something which is something which you cannot source inside. You need to look outside, and that's where it helps a lot. So I think technically, this is very important to get this innovation, this chain of innovation. In terms of culture, this is also a topic. I mean, at the end of the day, the world has become much more dynamic. Product launches, look at from consumer goods on the electric side to vehicles. I mean, things are launching at much shorter cycles. So therefore, also the people need to change also in their attitude. You have to be quicker, more agile, right? So it also is a mindset change, which is sometimes a challenge within a big corporation like Daimler or here from BMW or other corporates. It is a challenge because you're talking about a number of a big mass of people. It's a big tanker, right? And so in order to have these speedboats and to also change mindset, I think working together with startups will help a lot in terms of decision making, agility, collaboration. Yeah, those things are very helpful to get these know-how out of the startup world.
Thank you. There's always learning from all of these sides. I think what Daimler has been adding to the ecosystem is nurturing these startups and making sure that with using your R&D resources, you're able to quickly get the startup off of the ground. I think that's a great value that you can offer to any small to medium enterprise. But at the same time, Tata, when it comes to UBQ materials, what I'm seeing is your experience, in my opinion, is invaluable to the other up-and-coming startup companies in our ecosystem. They learn a lot from you, especially, what I would like to bring onto their attention is I get a question a lot. So I'm a growth stage startup. I already have customers, and why should I be a part of an accelerator or an acceleration incubation program? So what was your take when Plug and Play approached you to be a part of our ecosystem? What did you think first? And then, again, as a follow-up question, I would like to ask you that, did you know that it was this big of an ecosystem that could actually create opportunities for you rather quickly. Raymond, thank you very much for being with us today. I know that you have another commitment, so we're going to continue with Barış and Tato for the rest of the panel.
Yes, so look, Plug and Play is a community of internal champions fostering relationships, and some of them really last far beyond the initial introductions. When we started working, for example, with Daimler, a connection that then came through Plug and Play, we were talking about a single trial, which eventually grew through over a dozen of different product trials, really paving the way for UBQ for additional divisions of Daimler within the car, outside the car, in the product chain, and then to new suppliers like Motherson and others who are leaders in their field. So this was really facilitated by a community that is there to support these interactions, these relations between companies. So they say it takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a community to raise a startup. And you have created a wonderful community. And I was telling you that really we've been accelerated in the last 2 years as never before. And one of the central elements of this acceleration is the domino effect that we got through all the acquaintances and relationships we built through Plug and Play. So we are as proud of you as you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you very much. You're too kind. I'm humbled with your words. So Barış, I know that you see a lot of startup pitches, and you could probably pitch on behalf of some of those entrepreneurs in your sleep. So it's an internal, it's an interesting dynamic, right? That we see a lot, we have a front row seat to what's happening in the mobility, that major shift that we've been experiencing in the last decade or so, switching from internal combustion engines to electrical vehicles, autonomous driving, infotainment systems, and everything else around it. Throwing the sustainability into it. So what are some of the things like, advancements in mobility that you could share with us that has wowed you recently that, you've heard from an entrepreneur? And my follow-up question to that would be, what are some of the things that you would advise the entrepreneurs not to do when they're pitching to a VC?
Yeah, great question, Somer. So let's talk about more of the exciting things that we get to daily basis. So obviously, as a society, we've had a high human cost due to the pandemic. Yet the silver lining here is that this has substantially accelerated digital transformation in many different verticals. When we look at all retail categories, the penetration of e-commerce was roughly around 20%. Now it's getting closer to 30% because of this. And historically, when you look at these metrics, penetration of e-commerce, especially for used car sales, has been less than 1%. So obviously, due to all these limitations in place currently, we are seeing a substantially faster adoption of digital transformation within the whole ecosystem, especially on the car dealer side, for example. We've seen some of our portfolio companies serving them has grown more than 100% in a matter of quarters, literally, as they've been historically relying on more old school on-prem software packages, which some might call archaic. Today, they've got access to some of these cutting-edge technologies. So, for example, we were fortunate to make 2 investments in the space. One was a company founded by the former Tesla Chief Information Officer. The company is called Tekion, where we had a chance to co-lead the round. What they're building is essentially a next-generation automotive retail platform, replacing all of those old-school archaic systems and many different patches, vertical-specific solutions on top of it, 10, 15 different applications with just single one, based on the cloud, pure AI-driven. So they just became a unicorn. They just raised their Series C round, $150 million round at a unicorn pre-money valuation. There's another company we were fortunate to lead the Series B round. A company called AutoFi. The company has built a powerful API which allows customers to get instant financing results from a large variety of lenders. So all of a sudden, a few hour-long process at the dealer is being shrunk to a few minutes, and dealers can even sell cars online without opening up physically. So financing is a key topic as well in this whole equation. So overall, this is quite fascinating, seeing the whole digital adoption. Going back to the second part of your question, I do think the key topic here is when you talk to VCs, again, same thing for us. When we talk to entrepreneurs, it's preparation, preparation, preparation. So it's crucial to spend some time doing the background search, understanding who the startup or for the entrepreneur, who the VC fund you're talking to. Every VC fund has a different investment thesis. And these days you get access to so much of data out there, meaning that you can go, a lot of VCs are super active on LinkedIn, Twitter, Medium, Substack, they keep publishing. You can easily see the deals they worked on, the board seats they are holding. A 5-minute research could get you way ahead of many others. So when I meet the founders who have done this homework, know what we are investing, what kind of stuff we have made investments in the past, looked at our portfolio, can even suggest collaboration opportunities with some of our portfolio, I'm thoroughly impressed. Because this way they get a potential collaboration partner. We're always happy to facilitate those introductions. And if everything goes well with our portfolio, I'm going to likely be the one first in the line to invest, because some of our best investments were referred by our portfolio, and you get another data point for you to understand how the startup is disrupting the space.
You know, great insights. And a lot of people, you know this, we've discussed about this for so long, Barış, you and I during our regular calls, that a lot of people think that when they have the finances, when they have the money, they can get into every deal. And actually that proves itself to be totally wrong, rapid, fast. I know that, you know, these type of VC and entrepreneur deals, you know, it's like a marriage, right? It's a relationship that you should be able to understand each other. You know, I would like to also give Tato the word here, that what were you looking at when you were making deals with VC? What is it that makes you choose one person's money over the other?
Okay, I personally come from the investment world. I used to run an investment company that was traded in NASDAQ, so I really know that world, been working with VCs, with equity funds, mezzanine funds, and so on. And that expertise really helps, but not everyone has it. What I have to say is that definitely you can, you need to do the research. You really need to do the research. And that is by reference, and that is by getting exactly on the things you were saying, online deals and the type of people that are involved. For us, for example, we only have one venture capital fund, which doesn't have a big position in UBQ, but we thought about what would be the best VC in the realm of VCs that we see here in Israel. There are 36 international companies with VC representations. So this is really startup nations in that sense, and really picked a VC that we thought had a strategic, alliance, potentially strategic added value to us. Yet again, there are other type of investors other than VCs, and that is also a part of the map of opportunities that you as a startup may have. But definitely the VC world is a very competitive one. And, you know, if you have an excellent idea and an excellent product and an excellent business plan, you need to present your value proposition in a way that, that they want you more than you want them. Sorry, this is a tip for me. I mean, it's just because I come from that world. But yet again, you choose usually a VC that can give you some upside, but sometimes you don't have a choice. You need the money. There is one VC that is willing to give it to you. Sometimes you really don't have that choice. So there is no one answer to this, in my opinion. It's just preparing yourself beforehand. A big mistake that companies do is that they wait until they think that they need the money, and then, they come at the last minute. And something that is very important to remember is, try to raise the money before you need it, because otherwise you will have a very hard time doing it.
That is so true. Well, again, thank you very, very much from the bottom of our hearts for joining at our Mobility and IoT Istanbul office launch with Plug and Play and MEXT today. I wish we could have done this in person, but hopefully sometime in Istanbul. I know that you both love, all of you love, we're going to meet again in Istanbul so that you could share your experiences from your fantastic journeys at UBQ with Startup Autobahn Daimler and BMW iVentures. Soon enough, you will share it with our local entrepreneurs in Istanbul. And I would love to give you a huge shout out and a big applaud for what you have achieved in your careers. Thank you very much again for joining us today.
The pleasure was all ours, Ömer, and congratulations on
Thank you very much.
Yeah, looking forward to learning more what you guys are building over time. Ellerinize sağlık.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, all of you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
What a fantastic way of kicking our Istanbul launch. This has been fantastic, Barış, Tato, and Raymond. Thank you very much for being with us today, sharing your insights, and inspiring our local entrepreneurs. We're lucky to have you today. So next up, we have another panel that we're going to be talking about the future of corporate venture capital with some of our success stories from our own Turkish industry.
Türkiye ekosisteminde önemli bir boşluğu dolduracağına inandığım bu işbirliği sanayiciyi girişimciyle, girişimciyi yatırımcıyla bir araya getirecek. Bu sinerji teknolojik sıçramamıza hız kazandıracak, Türk girişimcilerine global kapılar açacak. Üretimin ve işlerin dijital dönüşümünün bayraktarlığını yapan Türkiye Metal Sanayicileri Sendikası'na bu stratejik girişim için candan teşekkür ederim.
Ekonominin yarattığı katma değeri arttırmak için güçlü bir ekosisteme ve işbirliğine ihtiyaç var. Bu sürecin en kritik alanlarından birini dijital teknolojiler ve inovasyon yetkinliği oluşturuyor. Plug and Play İstanbul platformunun şirketler, girişimler ve kurumlar arasında işbirliğini ve tecrübe paylaşımını teşvik edecek, sanayinin dijital dönüşümünü destekleyecek, kapsayıcı bir platform olacağına inanıyoruz. MİS'i bu girişimi için tebrik ediyoruz.
Dear guests, first let me welcome you with due respect and love. I wish 2021 will be a peaceful and happy year for all of us. Today we are together for the launch of the collaboration we did with Plug and Play. During the last 5 years in Turkey, venture capital and corporate innovation and investment have been the leading issues for all stakeholders, and the 92% of companies inform us that they have been affected positively by these kinds of competitive edge and innovation, and managers are seeking out these kinds of innovations to stay strong in the area of competition. The pandemic has accelerated digital transformation all around the world. So companies collaborating with entrepreneurs are looking for a systematic and replicable model. So innovation is a kind of option for them. So from that perspective, the Turkish industry has been paved the way by two leading companies. The managers will be our panelists today. Ahu Hanım, she works and invests in the area of mobility. F Plus Ventures and Arya Women Investment Platform have been founded by Ahu Hanım. Şelale Hanım from İnci Holding and Maxion Cantaş. She is a member of the board and also the founder of İnci Family Office and the chairman of the board, and she also has the founder of a fund for innovation and investment areas. The first question goes to Ahu Hanım. In order to change corporate culture, innovation and open communication, Fark Labs and F Plus managers are the first examples in these areas. Ahu Hanım, when did you first feel this need to build that kind of corporate capital? Well, I have been asking this question to myself very often. Why do people need for a kind of change? Perhaps it could be answered like a kind of discontentment or contentment with the current situation you are in. And if you think that you will be preserving that situation, that means you do not have a reason for change. I'm talking about for those companies who are not seeking out change. As our name bears, Fark Holding, Fark in Turkish means difference in English, so we are looking for difference and change. We have asked this question like, what things will be different in the world 10 or 15 years later? We have started thinking about our own industry and how it will be embracing that kind of change. Or will we be continuing in this kind of risky and changing environment? So we have kept asking these kinds of questions. As you keep asking the right questions, you start receiving the right answers. Who will be your future clients? So when we ask this question, we have come to the understanding that the world will see great changes in the near future, and we had to position ourselves accurately in this changing environment, and we felt the need to develop a kind of tool, and we have positioned that tool as a device to reshape future that encompasses processes of change, from investment to building of startups and innovation. We had established an innovation lab for us, which started the whole story actually. And if you are working in the automotive industry, that means you are someone who looks for perfect plans all the time. But you need to have that kind of entrepreneurial spirit as well. If you really want to keep up with that change, are you employing the right method, or is it like you start with what is closest to you? As we tell our entrepreneurs, you might be rolling out a POC to determine the position of your product and service in the market. So it was like asking a question which was like, can we use the automotive mentality in this area? So F Plus Ventures started with the establishment of the venture capital. So from the automobile industry to mobility, where will we positioning ourselves? So we started looking at global examples. And 6 and 7 years ago, F Plus Ventures was established with these ideas in our minds. We have started rolling out investments in Turkey. So the first fund was more like when you go out to watch a football match, you want to watch it from the front rows. And we wanted to watch things from the front rows as well. we used our own means, and our second fund now, for example, we will be starting to include in other investors as well, because in time you see that it's not possible for one stakeholder to embrace that kind of change individually. We agree with MEXT. We have to act together, and we set ourselves this future mobility notion will have to be implemented hand in hand and in collaboration. And how can we come together with people who think in the same way? Well, great. As you said, industry companies today, well, they have to be very agile and very observant. They have to work in collaboration. In Turkey, entrepreneurship platforms are developed every day. We have more incubation centers. So we had an investment of $102 million, and 12 million comes from venture capitals. And this rate in recent years has been increasing up to 20% actually. Şelale Hanım, in the Turkish ecosystem, how do you act? And in terms of accessing to and integrating with international stakeholders, what was your journey like? Yes, of course. Well, technology and entrepreneurship, when we think about these notions, we have no boundaries, if you like. For us, there is no difference between local, Turkish and international. Of course, we might have a larger footprint in Turkey, but when we are talking about technology and entrepreneurship, global span is very crucial. MEXT's vision was like that. So we shared that kind of vision to be a player both in Turkey and in international platforms. So in order to have the right structure, you are in need of the right partnerships. It was very important for us to build that kind of right partnerships and have the right structure. So we had a 6-month period during which we did a kind of feasibility study. We had for about 40 interviews with both local players and global players. When I say global players, I mean the word players includes in all sorts of entrepreneurs and investors and funds of all sorts. So we have started thinking about what kind of a structure should we have. When you work on this area, well, every stakeholder and every organization have a way of their own working and style. So at the end of this 6 months, we've established our first fund and rolled out our investments. We think acting together is really very crucial. And our fund is not a large fund that we could allocate for this area. So that means acting together with other funds plays a crucial role. And whenever we find an opportunity to voice our concerns, we keep informing our stakeholders that we have for about 400 funds in the target markets with whom we came together, and in our funnel we have accumulated for about 1,000 companies. So we work with funds, we share some things. Sometimes they come to us when they seek an investor, and sometimes we are informed about new startups by our colleagues and friends, or we might be working together with startups at their investment stage. If they are in other industries, we forward them to the right players, or there might be other stakeholders with a kind of gap in their budgeting. So in the local market, that kind of togetherness is very crucial for us. Great. I'm sure we have listeners out there who's listening to us, and they have been able to find inspiration in what you're doing. During a recent survey in Turkey, industry companies had the greatest motivation in pilot studies with a share of 20%, and by increasing their growth processes, and 15% of those players are willing to learn more about new business models. Ahu Hanım, What was your motivation in your journey? We listened to your comments during your answer to the first question. Were there any changes in your vision, and what did F Plus learn during the journey, and what were the contributions? Well, actually, as you discover more, these are like computer games. When you reach a phase and complete it, you go on to another stage in the play. And when you have a certain level of comprehension, that means you are ready for a new level of learnings, a new phase of learnings. So it's about learning about your products and services, or developing your own products and services. These are singular targets, if you like. On the other hand, what we need to do was to have a 360-degree outlook that will bring about a change in your DNA and mindset. And that means your organization now enjoys a new way of doing business, and you will be seeing the outcomes. Otherwise, if you would be investing in singular startups, that means you will have to wait for the achievement of that startup in which you invested, and then you can roll out new investments. So that will not be the situation from now on, because that has been the greatest challenge. Another challenge came from the fact that it is rather difficult to persuade board members and investors. It's not an area with a process as swift as this. So I had this different sort of philosophy in the beginning. We are now all allocating serious budgets to R&D, but what we say R&D as of today, it should be different from the classical research and development. It should be like the R&D of things we know and the R&D of things we do not know. Perhaps that should be a main new distinction. We are talking about entrepreneurship and startups and digital innovation. So that means these are new areas, and you need to have a longer term perspective on these areas. If you nurture a short-term approach in these areas, that might kill what you want to do at the very beginning. So internally, you need to be able to develop a startup culture. You might have this external idea. We have this program which covers 5 phases from the idea to the investment. You have this F3 stage, an external idea, and you should be able to place it in your internal process and roll out your investment accordingly. And if you are looking out for an investment and investing in a startup, you should be able to ask a question like whether you could contribute to that startup with your own client portfolio, or can you alert other investors for this investment? So this is part of our service now. So you need to be able to see the holistic picture from a 360 degree. It's very much like producing a TV show or TV program. You need to be thinking about your target audience, and you need to have that kind of capability. And this intelligence of togetherness intervenes and plays an important role at this very point. You need to be able to think together with potential stakeholders, and you need to be making this exponentially. That will be the most crucial achievement for us. And actually, this is what excites me most. Şelale, for example, says that you are dealing with 1,000 companies, for example. That means there are 1,000 candidates who want to success, who want to achieve in business. So that requires you to be able to direct those stakeholders and players accurately. You need to be able to build an organism which is able to think together. Well, definitely. And that will be very valuable for companies in this journey. Şelale Hanım, İnci Holdings, I mean, what was your main purpose within İnci Holding was in this journey? If you would be listening to news today, or if you would be reading a piece, and if you are working in the world of business, you should have been aware of this trend, which was very active in the last 10 to 15 years. The number of companies with a value of higher than $1 billion is increasing exponentially. And the picture, on the other hand, remains rather same. I mean, giant organizations dating back to even the 19th century are being thrown back by new companies like Tesla, Spotify, and Apple. And there are numerous examples. And our family company comes from the world of industry and production. Well, we produce on the one hand, and we do our sales and focus on our profitability. But as Ahu Hanım has said, it's not only about investing in R&D only. The world out there is now a completely different one. We see disruptive technologies and agile teams. As İnce Holding, these were foreign concepts to us, and there is a wide ocean out there with different winds blowing. And we had to go on our journey in this ocean so that we would be reaching out to these innovations. And as İnce Holding, we just wanted to feel the water before launching our first ship on the sea. Before the establishment of İnce, that was not the first issue we discussed it at the board, but this was thanks to the encouragement of the third generation in the family. We wanted to shy away from venture capital because we did not want to position ourselves like we would have to explain our children why we didn't take certain steps at these crucial times. That's why we have decided to start the project by establishing a fund. And if not with third parties from out there, we just wanted to have a professional platform. What we wanted to do was, in 2 or 3 years' time, that would be starting to influence our corporate culture. We could just broaden our vision on the side of our companies. So I'm trying to say that we expected a longer-term outcome, whereas the impact was felt rather quickly. We have been able to look at our companies more closely in higher detail. We have started to increase the number of services these companies receive from the industry. And we have changed the way of working and shifts, like from morning to evening. And of course, the impact of COVID-19, well, that forced all of us to act swiftly and in an agile manner. But since we had started to implement these issues earlier, this kind of disruption that came with the pandemic was more easily handled on our side. So this is not an isolated lab, but a very much active platform. So even if with small steps, you need to start with the right organizations. So the existence of platforms like MEXT play a crucial role because they have a connection with global players and with all members in the ecosystem. You don't have to invent the wheel again. It doesn't have to last for 6 months. That means you will be able to taste the flavor of the companies and startups much quickly. Well, I liked your metaphor of the ocean because with the collaboration of Plug and Play, what we want to do is to enable our industry companies to have an easier voyage on this ocean. Well, dear listeners, as MEXT, the technology center of MES, the world's largest investment and entrepreneurship platform Plug and Play, had its launch today, we have been able to host two valuable speakers from the world of business. We would like to thank you for your valuable opinions. This platform, which has been launched today, will encourage the increase in the number of new investments and collaboration. As a framework institution, we are offering that kind of platform to our investors and industrialists, a new ecosystem. We are enabling them to develop new collaborations, and we will be offering all sorts of support. And for those companies who are planning to establish corporate venture capital, will benefit from this platform as well. Our program will go on with Barış Arıkan and Ömer Gözen's panel, during which they will be speakers. We would like to thank you for watching us on behalf of MEXT. We would like to see you amongst us in due time. So thank you to our participants once again. Enjoy your day. Thank you.
Plug and Play'in Türkiye'ye gelmesi bence çok değerli. Esasında Türkiye'de son günlerde güzel şeyler oluyor. MES'in yeni teknoloji merkezi MEXT ve aynı zamanda dünyanın sayılı platformlarından Plug and Play. İkisini bir arada görmek hakikaten heyecan verici bir şey. En önemli getirisinden bir tanesi Türkiye'deki açık fikirli, zehir gibi arkadaşların global dünyaya açılmalarını sağlayacak çok önemli bir girişim.
İnsanlık tarihinde geleceğin püf noktası yeniliği aramak ve yeniliğe şans vermekte. Yeniliğin amacı hayat kalitesinin arttırılmasına, geliştirmesine odaklıdır. Bunun için sorumluluk, sürdürülebilirlik ve geniş bir ekosistemin içinde çalışmak, yaşamak, yaşatmak, yeniliği keşfetmek gerekir. Bu anlamda MES ile Plug and Play işbirliğinin sanayi, girişimcilik ve yatırımcıları bir araya getirmek açısından çok anlamlı ve önemli olduğuna inanıyorum.
Bu oluşumun Türkiye'den de küresel markalar çıkmasını tetikleyeceğini ve ülkemize büyük katkılar sağlayacağını düşünüyorum. Bu sayede mobilite, nesnelerin interneti, enerji, akıllı şehir teknolojileri ve diğer birçok alanda global markalar çıkaracağımızı ve geleceğimizi şekillendirecek yeni trendlere erken uyum sağlayabileceğimize inanıyorum.
Ülkemizde girişimcilik ekosistemi için büyük potansiyel var. Ancak iyi bir fikrim var diyen herkes de bu ekosistemin bir parçası olamıyor maalesef. Çünkü bazen biraz yönlendirilmesi, çoğu zaman da elinden tutulup desteklenmesi gerekiyor. İşte Plug and Play platformunun bu ihtiyacı çok güzel karşılayacağına inanıyorum.
İnovasyon ve girişimcilik programı Plug and Play, dünya çapında 30'dan fazla lokasyonda, Silikon Vadisi'nden Singapur'a, Paris'ten Seul'a hizmet veren büyük bir platform. Her yıl yüzlerce startup'ı, kurumsal büyük şirketleri ve yatırımcıları başarıyla bir araya getiriyor. Dropbox, PayPal, Voodoo gibi bilinen markaların, şirketlerin doğduğu yer. Plug and Play'in hizmet verdiği merkezler arasında MEXT Türkiye'yi görmek çok büyük mutluluk. Ülkemizde hizmet vermeye başlaması ile bizlere çift yönlü fayda sağlayacağını düşünüyorum. Bir yandan buradaki girişimci ekosistemi ile MES üyeleri ve yatırımcılar arasında sinerjiyi artıracak. Bir o kadar da dünyanın çeşitli merkezlerinde yürümekte olan birçok girişimi daha yakından takip etmemizi sağlayacak.
Dünyanın en büyük girişim ve inovasyon platformlarından biri olan Plug and Play'in MEXT sayesinde Türkiye'ye geldiğini öğrendim ve çok heyecanlandım.
Dünyaca ünlü kuluçka merkezi Plug and Play'in Türkiye'yi seçmesi, Türkiye'de bir merkez açması sadece Türkiye için değil, bütün coğrafya için çok kritik olduğuna inanıyorum. Bundan sonra girişimcilik sektörü, girişimcilik ekosistemi Türkiye'de farklı bir yol kazanacak ve ivmesini arttırarak ülkemizin gelişmesine katkılarını sağlayacaktır. Bu noktada MES'e, MEXT'e ve Sayın Özgür Burak Akkol'a çok teşekkür etmek istiyorum. Ülkemize hayırlı ve uğurlu olsun.
I'm very happy that MES overwhelmed Plug and Play to come here to Turkey and the region to help startups and big companies to match up and take the responsibility driving the growth of the future.
Hello. We would like to welcome everyone watching us in Turkey and from other parts of the world. This is the last session of MES. We have Ömer from the Silicon Valley. Hello, Barış. Welcome. Well, let's rocket our entrepreneurships and investment Plug and Play Istanbul program. During this panel, we'll be talking about the genesis of the program and the details of the platform and other pieces of information. Well, as you know, we have digital and digital innovations and entrepreneurships all around us. If we look at our members, we see that they are looking for technological solutions for their businesses, and they are working with local and international stakeholders very closely. So be it our members or for Turkish industrialists, we rolled out this project to have a digital platform, and finally MEXT has been realized as the largest digital platform focusing on competence building and improvement, and in terms of stakeholders, MEXT is the world's largest, and it has more than 40 local and international organizations. It really offers all sorts of services from a single source for players in the Turkish market. One of the most important parts of this program is innovation and investment system, so Plug and Play complements that perspective. So open innovation will be embraced by this organization, which will be a first in Turkey, and we are planning to have pilot programs in Turkey. With the help of these pilot programs, the Turkish industrialists will have an opportunity to integrate their productions and businesses with global examples and create new opportunities for themselves. Now I would like to hand over to you. What was the process like for you? Why did you choose Istanbul as a hub for Plug and Play? And why did you choose the Turkish Employers Association of Metal Industries? Well, thank you, Barış. This is a very special day for me. For the last 4 years, I've been working at our main center at the Silicon Valley. Well, it was in February when we first had the onset of the pandemic, when we first started thinking about Plug and Play. we were thinking about what kind of contributions it would have for Istanbul and for the region. You know, we worked with you and with Efe, İrem and Özgür, your colleagues. We have been discussing around these issues for months. So this has been very easy for us. Because we were working on some common goals. During the last 4 years, we have been thinking about this project actually, but our priority in Plug and Play was your partner. And in order to build an ecosystem, and if you want to bring in the startups to Istanbul, who had been successful, your partners are very important. So we found this at MEXT. As you said, we have 248 members from the white goods industry, the automobile industry in Turkey. These are the leading industries, and these are also the organizations we have been working vertically for long years for Plug and Play. So these, we have almost 250 members. MEXT company, the member companies of MEXT are also stakeholders we work with. MEXT is our single founding member and partner for us. So this will be not only the perspective of Istanbul, it's a regional hub covering Asia, Middle East and North Africa and the Mediterranean region that will bring where we can support universities and R&D centers and incubation labs. Well, thank you, Ömer. As you said, in the existing situation, the Turkish Employers Association of Metal Industries is the only partner, but we want to increase that number to 5 in due time, so that we will be able to reach out to a larger number of stakeholders and organizations. And as we will be doing this, we are planning to work together with volunteering organizations. As you said, since September, Plug and Play and MEXT work together. We will be talking about this in detail. IoT, mobility, energy, smart logistics and smart materials are the areas where Turkish and international industrialists will come together. We will be organizing events at MEXT Ataşehir with you. Could you give us some more details about this? Well, yes, this will take place at the MEXT Technology Center, which was opened by our president a couple of months ago. This is a very important technology hub on a global scale. As you said, the digital transformation in industries will be supported by this platform. It will be a kind of triggering force. These startup accelerator programs will be twice a year, but other than that, there will be a kind of digital factory environment which will play a crucial role in supporting these players and stakeholders. And mentoring services will be out there as well, so that everyone will be part of it. The Plug and Play office and technology center will be contributing a lot. And also on a global scale, the programs, well, we worked on something different actually. We worked with you there, and since September we have been thinking like what we can do in this area, and the potential partners, how we could improve their competences. For example, in Stuttgart, we have been inspired by the model we used there. We combined that with Silicon Valley a bit, and we came up with a very good program. So that will be twice a year, and observing the startups and bringing them in and selecting the startups. And with the accelerator program, well, that will be like a 6-month period. We set the dates for the whole year. We will be choosing the startups as of next month. We will be doing that together. And from that time onwards, we will have focus weeks. Together with the MEXT partner, we will be selecting a topic. and everyone will be getting connected to the ecosystem. What is your Turkish team like? Well, as a team, well, there will be a local team in Turkey. As you know, Lalecan Gözü Büyük had been appointed as the regional manager. She started her work last Monday. With her inclusion, we will have a new program manager, and other than that, there will be another person who will be communicating more with these startups. We have this ventures analyst or associate who will be doing that job for us. And there will be one or two more people who will be part of the team and start up Oraban program in Stuttgart. So the team in Stuttgart supports the Turkish team currently. So we will be collaborating with them in areas of IoT, mobility, energy and smart materials. There will be new additions to these areas as well, because we want to see them there very much. What is your team like? Well, let me talk about it as well. Well, we have a team of 3 people, but we will be more in number. Efe, myself and Irem works in this team together as part of the program rolled out by this team. We will be supporting our global entrepreneurs and we will be rolling out new opportunities for them. At the end of the day, collaboration and partnerships, while these are the common areas from which we will receive support, and we will be supporting our stakeholders in the Turkish industry, and we will be accelerating their processes so that we will contribute to this technological transformation. We want a more agile transformation for the Turkish industry with the right infrastructure, and more importantly, we are hoping to contribute to a kind of mindset change. And let me speak out here. If you want to be part of this change, please apply on our website for rocketing our entrepreneurs. Let us wish that. See you in February. Thank you.
Her girişim bir fikirle başlar. Heyecan ve azimle hayata geçer. Ama gelişmesi ve dünyaya açılması için ateşlenmesi gerekir. Doğru ellerde, doğru kişilerle büyümesi gerekir. Dünyaca ünlü birçok girişimin kurucusu öyle yaptı. Dropbox'ın, PayPal'ın, Honey'nin kurucusu da. Küçücük bir şirketken doğru iş ortaklarıyla bir araya geldiler. Dünyanın en büyük teknoloji şirketleri arasına isimlerini yazdırdılar. Şimdi büyüme sırası sizde. Dünyanın en büyük inovasyon ve girişimcilik platformu Plug and Play MEXT ile İstanbul'da. Dünyanın en büyük, en kapsamlı, en ileri dijital dönüşüm ve yetkinlik gelişim merkezi MEXT ve Plug and Play işbirliğiyle dünyanın en iyi girişimcileri sanayimizin lokomotifi MES üyelerimizle bir araya geliyor. Girişimler hız kazanıyor, sanayimiz açık inovasyon sayesinde yarınlara hazırlanıyor.